What it do?
Hello. How are you today, everybody? Did you mute that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Hi, guys. It is a beautiful day for. Oh, I'm gonna mute my phone. It's a beautiful day for us, but I've been made aware that it's not so beautiful in many of our other alpha households. So apparently, it's very rainy in some places. But today, for us, it's beautiful and sunny. So. But of course, we're down in the basement, so we don't get to enjoy windows or birds or fresh air or anything nice like that. How is everyone today? Gabby, Heart and Handmade Art. Susanna. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to give a super quick shout out to our alphas, Lissa, who isn't here because she's in the UK and she's probably asleep, and Dolly, because they have been like kicking major butt in the Facebook group. I made them.
I think it's late afternoon in the UK.
Is it late afternoon?
Yeah. I don't remember my timelines that well.
Someone in the UK, tell us what time it is. But anyway, they're doing awesome in the Facebook group because, as you guys know, I am working nonstop on the academy so I can make sure that it's done by June for you guys. I know that a bunch of you want to do it over the summer while your kids are home, and it just makes it a lot easier. And
5 p.m.
Yeah, 5 p.m. So, anyway, I'm working on that nonstop. So we had to get some other moderators in the group, and Lissa is a longtime friend. Dolly is someone that I've gotten to know very, very well through her business. So I trust both of them to take good care of you. And obviously they're doing a fantastic job. So be sure when you have a free minute.
Butt.
Yeah,
they're kicking butt in the group.
Yeah, because we usually get like 20 to 30 requests to join the group a day. And when
sometimes more, sometimes we get a lot.
Yeah, and a lot of them are just spam. Like, they're not even real people. They're just bots. And it's like every time I see that someone requested to join the group, I click to look to approve them, and it's already been done. Like, they are just
within seconds.
Yeah, they are on it. So be sure anytime you see them, like, thank them, chat with them. If you need help, feel free to tag them. They're both listed in the pin post on the group, which, if you guys didn't know, pin posts are going away. Not all groups have gotten rid of pin posts, but now we're going to have announcements. And Carrie, who works for Renee Christine, her Handmade Titan University and other courses, she's actually the one who let me know this. So big thanks to her. But basically, you're going to get announcement posts now for your Facebook groups, and you can do more than one. So you don't just have one pin post now, but we don't have it in our group yet. But that's going to be great because that means I can pin like important things that you guys need to know, not just, our group rules. I can pin our weekly Q&A. So that will be super duper great. Oh, look at all these people who are here. Super excited that they made it live today. Aaron, and Andrea, hey everybody, Denise, Michael, you're always here though. Michael is pretty much here every weekend. You're here like almost every Friday. I see you a lot. But anyway, I'm super excited about the new announcements for Facebook, but I don't know when that's going to go into effect for everybody. I've seen it in effect for several groups, but I think it's still in the test stages. So
yeah,
for
that's
those
usually how Facebook does stuff. They do like a small percentage.
Right. So for those of you who are new, we start off our first 10 minutes kind of giving everyone a chance to get online.
Shooting the stuff.
I goofed up my email again, guys. Here's the thing. I forgot. Well, it's not that I forgot. We were out really late last night because our daughter had karate, and yesterday we had to do our first spout of yard work for the year, and time just ran too late. So I went ahead and made our post for our Q&A Friday early this morning at like 6:00 in the morning. And when I did that, I didn't change the date in the email from last week because I had it saved as a template. And I left last week's date on there, and I was super embarrassed. So hopefully no one thinks that they missed it, since that email should have come at 10:30. He just said, he's like, you do something wrong with that email at least once a month. And it's true because
we always end up doing it in the morning
or late at night.
Really late at night.
Because I schedule those emails, like I schedule them out. That way you guys get them, at a specific time. And when I'm scheduling it, it's like I double check everything, and I always miss like one little thing. So if you've ever missed anything in your MailChimp or your mailing list, like just don't worry about it. I do it all the freaking time. I'm still the most disorganized person in the whole wide world. But anyway, thankfully it's just a date. I mean, come on. I think that most people can put 2 and 2 together, right? You guys knew. Look at all these people who are here. They know what's up. They know what's up. We got 66 viewers.
We're all human.
Oh man, we are so human. We've got so many dirty dishes and dirty laundry.
Calm down, Zuckerberg.
Calm down, Zuckerberg.
So I'm so human.
Oh, I'm human. I mean, what was it? He said I
was a person or something like that.
Yeah, I was a human or am a human. It was so funny. He's just so awkward. Why do we always start on the topic of
on the positive side of things? I learned in the past couple of days that North Korea and South Korea are signing a treaty.
A tweety.
To end the war that they're still technically in. They're signing a final peace treaty, finally, after 65 years. Yeah. So there's some positive world news for you to perk your day up.
Yay!
North Korea is still a crap hole, but...
Positive world news. Everyone loves positive world news. This is kind of an off topic, maybe. I'm trying to make a name change on my Facebook business page. Can I just make another Facebook business page? Facebook isn't responding to a request for a name change in over a month. If you have so many fans on your Facebook page, you can't change your Facebook page name. I don't know what the number is, or if they've changed that, but that's why I got stuck with the name Art by Starla Moore, because I was...
Keeps from like prank pages from doing stuff where they'll post all this really nice stuff and then they'll change their name to like Nazis of America and start posting a bunch of stuff, and then the news will hop on it and go crazy. It prevents stuff like that from happening.
Right, like awful things happening to pages that have like a lot of fans where someone will like hack it.
That's the whole reason Zuckerberg went in for his Congress hearing. It wasn't about the data protection stuff. The majority of it was about like Facebook's political influence on the last election, because it did have a huge influence.
Right. Well, so I want to answer her question though. Anyway, Grandma in a Box. Sorry, we went on a tangent there. Yes, you can make another Facebook business page. Just keep in mind that you're going to have to start generating and gather were put into one word there. Gatherating. Can we make that a word?
No.
Is that an alpha word now? No. Gatherating. You need to start gathering all of your fans onto a new page, though, and it might take some time. So that's 100% up to you. Love your necklace. Thank you. I actually bought it in the discount bin at Michael's and tied some string around it. So now you know something new. Let's see. Midnight here. Well, I hope that you go to bed soon. There's another lady who made the same name as me, so we're getting mixed up and she won't change hers, and she's just started a couple months ago. Here's the thing. If she just started a couple months ago and you've got more momentum, I think that you should keep your name. And I mean, if people are getting confused, I think that you should be the one to stand your ground. I mean, that's just me, but maybe that's because I'm petty. Like if you've got that name and that's your name, I mean, I wouldn't sacrifice your fans just because she's stubborn.
Yeah, I've done that with band names in the past, where we'll be in a new band and go to pick a band name, and we'll see somebody's already got the name, but we're like, oh, we sound better though, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
people will like us better anyway.
As long as it's not like copyright on the name or anything crazy like that. Well, it is noon on the dot, everybody, and we are covering all of this ridiculous GDPR.
Her reviews are going on my business page. That's funny.
Oh no!
Hey, free as long as they're good, free reviews. Right?
Yeah, but if they're bad,
about the wrong thing.
Yeah, that won't help her any. All right, guys. So, usually with big topics like this, I do keep notes. I try to not read off of notes because I think that it looks kind of funky. But when it comes to legal things and crud, that I just have so much information that my brain isn't going to be able to retain it all for me to, relay that back to you. I do keep notes, so just so you know, I will be reading off of some notes, but they're my notes. I wrote the notes. So,
and a disclaimer: we are not lawyers.
Yes,
we are not
down below.
I'm an information specialist, but I'm not an information specialist when it comes to emails. So neither of us are information specialists, and neither of us are law specialists. So
right, we are just well-read on the topic.
Right, exactly. We're well-read. We've done our research, and we're going to present to you our interpretation, even though it's pretty much the same as everybody else's interpretation. So.
All right. So assuming that there is at least one person who has no idea what the GDPR is, GDPR stands for General Protection.
General Data Protection.
General Data Protection Regulation. And it goes into effect on May 25th, which means that you need to be compliant by May 25th. It's like no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you're intercepting any personal data from anyone, whether it be a customer or a fan, you have to have adequate documentation of that and the consent that they gave. So we will be going over a list of information that we consider to be identifiable. However, there is no list, and there is no list because with time things change, and we are able to process small bits of information differently. Whereas a few years ago, not just having your name wasn't sufficient data for the average person to be able to find out much about you. Whereas now, someone's name and you can find out a whole lot about them just by their name. So that's why there is no list, because they need to be able to add to this list. And it's almost like there's data that can be pieced together. Like maybe there's 20 John Smiths that all live in, we'll say, Montana, or a town in Montana, but only one of those John Smiths is selling a red car on Craigslist.
And is 35 years old.
You can piece those pieces of data together.
It's called multi-source research.
Right.
Every military organization in the world does that. That's what that is. You're taking multiple sources of information, piecing together a puzzle, and then you can identify who somebody is.
Right.
It's really not that hard, especially when you have things like white pages where you can backlook somebody's like past 5 addresses and you don't even have to have an account, but you have to have enough information to look it up.
Naked Cat says boobs. I don't know if she's referring to mine or if she's just here to talk about boobs.
I'm all about them.
That happens in the chat sometimes. Boobs pop up. Sorry. No, boobs don't pop up, but the topic of boobs.
Yeah, we're not Twitch streamers. Calm down.
It's already going. It's already going downhill. It's already going downhill.
I do birthday posters where the buyer can personalize the poster with a person's name, birth date, and birth.
Oh no, Michelle.
No. This has nothing to do with that.
Okay, we'll get into that in just a second, Michelle. No.
Yeah, we'll get into it. No worries. It will not. It will not affect how you run your business for the most part.
Right.
It doesn't have anything to do with your products or anything like that. This is all about data protection.
Okay, so let's keep to the list here, and I promise that any of the questions that you have, we'll get to those at the end because we'll probably be covering them, and this will make this go a little bit faster. So who's affected by this? Basically, the GDPR is in effect on May 25th to protect the data of people living within the European Union. So it's not all of your customers, it's just your customers living within the European Union, but you still, because there is no control, like for example, when someone joins your mailing list, I've got customers who say, well, I don't sell to anyone in Europe. I don't sell internationally. The thing is, do you have a mailing list? Yeah. Well, is there anything stopping someone in Europe from joining it? Probably not. There's no way to restrict who's going to join that mailing list. Therefore, yes, even if you do not live in the European Union, even if you do not sell to anyone in Europe or internationally for that matter, it still affects you 100%. So you have to be able to abide by these rules and be compliant by May 25th, because there isn't anything that's stopping someone who lives in Europe from joining your mailing list.
And the fees for this kind of thing are no joke. Like,
what were the fees?
So for a major offense, which I forget what they actually defined as a major offense.
It's total breach of
total breach of information.
Right.
Yeah, like somebody could get hold of your information and steal your identity.
Yes.
That comes at a minimum of 4% of your income or 20 million euros, whichever is greater.
Yeah.
Whichever is greater. And for a minor offense, and a minor offense is literally anything else that could attribute to a major offense. And the minimum for that is 2% or 10 million at a minimum. So like the minimum fee you can be charged for breaking this rule, if somebody is like negatively affected by it, is 10 million euros. It's no joke. So you do, like, even if you think you can get away with it because you don't sell to the European Union, you should still make these practices for your email lists. If you have a website, you definitely need to be doing this kind of stuff. So just
were those guesstimate numbers that you're recalling, or
no, those are the 2%. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's 2%. But I know that the minor offenses, it's 10 million, and major offenses, it's 20 million.
It's high. So if you want to check the exact numbers, feel free to do that.
Yeah, and Rachel just said I've been getting emails from every site I deal with.
And the thing is, in the weeks
everybody's doing
in the week before, like the week before this goes into effect, like the week of the 25th, you're going to get everybody, the last minuters who are trying to, get compliant. So we'll be talking a little bit about that too. So,
and some email services or some companies you're not going to see these from because they might be advanced enough to have their own email distribution services. And if you have your own, you can filter out people from the European Union. So if you live in the United States and you haven't gotten a GDPR email from somebody, they probably distribute their emails on their own, and they probably have a way to filter out people from Europe by IP address. So you might not get them from everybody.
Right. And as far as I'm aware, though, MailChimp, that's the biggest.
You can't do that with MailChimp.
Yeah,
that's an incredibly advanced service that would cost them a lot of money to do.
So why is this happening? First of all, it's happening because we're living in an age where tiny pieces of data now have a lot more power than back a few years ago when someone's name wasn't enough to really, do anything devastating. But this is actually replacing what's it called? The Data Protection Act of 1998. This law has not been updated since 1998. So it needs to be updated because the types of information that we process and the power of that information is a lot greater than it was.
The data associated with emails is a lot greater than too, because I can't speak specifically for every service, but the majority were just like first name, last name, birthday. And that was like the only thing associated with your email address other than a little bit of metadata with your IP address and all that kind of stuff. But now it's a lot more in depth with that. It has your locational data. It has all kinds of stuff associated with it.
So on what occasions can you process data legally? And this includes like their name, their email address. All of this is considered data, and we'll be going over a small list in a few minutes. But on what occasion can you actually and legally process this data from your fans, from your customers living in Europe? First of all, there has to be active consent. They have to be able to say actively, yes, I would like you to subscribe me to your email list, and have possession of my name and my email to send me, your marketing, blah, blah, blah. So they have to actively consent to that. So all of those emails that you used to where you would maybe make a purchase online and you had to uncheck all these boxes that says, yes, send me email notifications about sales. And you would have to sit there and uncheck them all because you don't want those emails. You can no longer do that. Companies can't do that anymore. Those boxes can't be pre-ticked.
A lot still will, because a lot of websites understand that the majority of people aren't going to be coming after them, but you're not a big company. Right. So you have to comply by these kinds of things.
And I mean,
and it's not I don't want to make it sound scary.
It's not.
It's really not. You're probably doing the majority of like 90% of what you already need to do for this. There's just a couple of small things that have to be added in for your safety.
And other occasions that you can lawfully process their data is with transparency. So you have to be 100% transparent about everything that you plan to do with that data. So now with your email lists, for example, you have to be able to let them know before they subscribe exactly how you're going to be using their data. So for me, for example, for the Handmade Alpha VIPs, if you want to click the link down below in the description, make sure that you open it up in another tab or else will disappear. But if you open that up, you can see that I now have a box that you have to tick that says exactly how I use your email when you sign up for my list and the types of content that I send you. So updates, news about the Handmade Alpha Academy, Q&As, the live streams, freebies, things like that. So, and
it also affects your Etsy shops too. It's not, we'll be going more into that. But like if you download your order receipts that have the address, name, and all that information, that's GDPR info. If you're printing it out, it's still data. So you still have to be able to tell somebody whether or not, what exactly you're keeping from them.
Right. Even if you're just
like if you're printing out invoices and you're keeping a record for your bookkeeper or whatever, like that's still GDPR info, and you have to be able to have access to that at all times. The customer has to be able to request that you destroy it without reason, and you have to be able to comply to that. So just make sure you always have access to that information.
And you also need to be able to, in the event that you are keeping paper records, which I don't think that you should really be doing anyways, but in the event that you're keeping paper records of your customers' information, that needs to be like in a fireproof safe that isn't just, it's not just a file cabinet that anyone can break into your house and pull open.
Locked.
Right. Because if they request that information and you say that I have a paper record of your information, you also need to be able to say how that information is being protected. So, and then the other condition that you can process that data, you have to have a specific purpose for doing so. And they have to know what that purpose is. So you can't just say, I'm collecting your email address and then never let them know what you're doing with it. Or I guess a less thought of example might be, for example, if I start out and I am a jewelry business and I tell them that I am collecting their email to market to them about my jewelry. And then like 2 years later, I decide jewelry is not working for me. I'm going to sell handmade pillows, or I'm going to do like digital files, or maybe I'm going to turn into like a consultant company where I do, maybe I do photography work. I can't just tell everyone on my list, hey, heads up, now you get to enjoy my photography because I don't do jewelry.
They'd have to opt back in.
Right. They would have to opt back into that.
It's a different business. It's a different entity entirely.
Exactly.
There's no questions. It's just comments.
Oh, okay.
I'm checking.
Okay. And then
now there's one. How many like crochet projects do you recommend before starting?
We're gonna try to stick to the topic today, but if you have questions at the end that don't have to do with the GDPR stuff, because this is kind of important, you can ask those at the end. Okay. So how do you get that consent to process their data? Like how do you actually acquire that consent? You have to get an actual affirmative, just okay, yes, from that person. It can't be passive. It has to be an affirmative yes.
You can't use any tricks. You can't use any tricks to get them to say yes, which is why you can't just have that box automatically ticked anymore.
Exactly. Now, what I am trying to do, because what most email services are doing right now is they're sending a re-opt-in or a reconfirmation where basically you send out an email that says, click this if you want to stay on my email list. If not, you're going to be deleted. Now, not everybody checks their email all the time. And it might be devastating on the day when you have to delete, several thousand subscribers from your list. What I am currently trying to find out from MailChimp, please give me time to verify this. This is just me kind of talking out of my head for a minute. I'm going to try to find out for you guys if from day one you were transparent about their data, because I've always been transparent about the data. There's never been pre-ticked boxes. I've always done double opt-ins. And I have always been honest about what type of content they'll receive to me and how that data will be processed. Because I've done that from day one, do I have to get a reconfirmation? So
I don't believe so, but we're going to try to find out.
I want to get right. I want to make sure that for those of us who've said from day one, this is exactly what I'll be sending you, out of that transparency. Is it possible for us to skip that? That way we don't have to delete all of those.
As far as what I've read and what I've seen, it sounds like if you've already done a double opt-in, all you have to do is send people an email with an update on how you're doing things. It doesn't have to be super specific, but then if somebody requests something, that's when you have to be open. In Luminaria, it's GDPR, and it's Global Data Protection Regulations.
And there's going to be some links below, okay? So you might need to watch the replay on this if you missed the beginning, okay? So let's see. I'm confused. As a small business in Germany, I must keep all invoices for 10 years. How am I supposed to do this in the case someone wants me to destroy an invoice because their address is on it?
It's not your choice. It absolutely is not your choice. And anybody that forces you to do so is breaking the GDPR. So that doesn't fall on you. So if you want to destroy an invoice because a customer requests them to do so, and somebody that you're working for or something says you can't do that, then you need to report them because they're breaking the law.
Right. And it's only for Europeans.
Especially if you belong to the EU. And it's only for European Union people.
Yes.
So if somebody in the United States says destroy my files, you don't have to. You still should, because it's the honest and modest thing to do. But you don't technically have to. It only falls for EU people.
Right. It's not a choice.
Though if you're in the European Union, you may have to do it for anybody. That's a bit that you might want to ask a lawyer about, but that's a bit confusing.
And Rachel asked, so change the button text on my subscription page to something more like, yes, please add me to your list.
Yes.
I would do even more in depth than that. I wouldn't just say, yes, add me to your list. I would say, yes, sign me up for discounts, freebies, news on new collection launches. You need to be as specific as possible. There can be no passiveness. I would look down below at the Handmade Alpha VIP sign up form. I've got that linked. It says join the Handmade Alpha VIPs and get my free ebook. Click that link, look at my sign up form and how I've worded that a bit. And we'll probably be getting, let's see.
So he said, so GDPR law is above our tax law because tax law says that I have to keep all invoices. Here's the deal. So we're not lawyers. We said that at the beginning. Now, here's the thing is it's a European Union address. It's not a Germany law. It's not a UK law. It's an EU law. So if you belong to the EU, that supersedes any laws that come before it, just like the UN supersedes anything that the United States does. That's why we can't just go drop a nuke on somebody that we don't like, because the UN says we can't do that. So it's going to be the same principal concept. So I highly recommend, again, we're not tax professionals. Most likely, yes, it probably does supersede your tax laws, but you should contact a tax professional or contact somebody in law who's going to know more about something like this, because this is a transnational law. This follows several countries in the EU, every country in the EU. So just keep that in mind. Most likely, yes, it probably does. It probably does overrule your tax laws. Let's see here. Okay, if I email a customer about their Etsy order and Gmail adds them to my contacts, should I delete their email as soon as the order is closed? There should be an option to not automatically add people to your contacts.
No, yeah, I don't automatically have people added to my contacts.
No,
and this is only
and
for
at the
people
bottom of every email that we send, it says make sure this person isn't in your contacts. Make sure you know them. So I don't know why Gmail would be adding them automatically. You might want to go through your settings and check on something there. See here, don't we have to keep invoices for like 7 years for tax purposes? If they're from the European Union, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And how often, the thing is, they have the right to this, but
it's their information. It's not yours. It's not the government's. It's theirs.
Right. But they have the right to do this, to say, delete my information.
You can keep receipts. You can keep receipts. That's different than printing an invoice. An invoice has like their address, their name, everything about the order. A receipt is just like their name, the last few digits of their credit card number, and the purchase amount. It doesn't have everything that an invoice has on it. An invoice is everything about the order, the individual product ordered, when it was ordered, where it went to, and everything like that. And receipts are different than invoices.
Not to mention Etsy. If you're selling on Etsy, Etsy keeps the stuff for you. They're responsible, not us. Etsy has that.
They have that information anyway.
Right.
So if you're printing it out, fine. You just have to know where you're storing it, and the customer has 100% of the right to know what you are doing with their information. Let's see here. Don't we have, okay, so question, this takes effect on 5/25, but will affect any PSYOPs prior to this date? That's what we're trying to find out, but yes.
Yes, because you may need to send them a confirmation
if they didn't already do a double opt-in.
Like if you were not 100% transparent about how you would be using their data and the exact types of content that you would be sending them, then yes, you would need to send them a reconfirmation. Everyone on your list would have to reconsent. And then anyone who did not reconsent would need to be removed. But we're still trying to find out some of that information from MailChimp, because I personally have always been 100% transparent about the type of information that I send to or the types of emails that my subscribers are receiving. So we're still trying to find that out.
It's still kind of, we're not in the EU. So a lot of this information is a lot harder to obtain than somebody that's living there that probably got a freaking note in the mail, you know?
All right.
Now, Domestic Platypus did make a good point, and I'm kind of on point with this too. You can destroy their name, address, etc. on the invoice and save the invoice. You can still leave the country and zip and note their request. That should leave you okay for whatever tax requirements, et cetera, for complying. Exactly. So anybody that's ever worked in a business where you keep customer information, you've probably heard the term, and I use this in the military, PII, personally identifiable information. And we're going to go over a list of this stuff here in a couple of minutes. One particular thing, like a name, like she said, John Smith alludes to nothing. There are probably a million John Smiths out there. But once you throw in their town, and maybe their age, that could be enough information to delimit direct to an address, to a person. That could pull up a driver's license. That could pull up a lot of information. One particular thing doesn't lead to anything. So like he said, you can put the country in zip and whatever else, as long as there's not enough information to find out who they are, it's not PII.
All right, guys, you're asking a lot of questions, so we're gonna
cover a lot of this.
Right. So let us go ahead and answer the few that we have on screen, but hold your questions till the end. Hold on to them. Put them in a separate like little text document for a minute. That way we can get through the list, because we'll probably cover your questions. But the one that I did want to answer is the one about the SSARs. How will this affect SSAR emails? You aren't, or will we still have access to customer emails, or should we start sending them through Etsy Convos? You should never be sending your SSAR swipe files by email. Those are only for Etsy Convos.
100% of the time through Etsy.
That's through Etsy Convos, not by email. So if you've been doing it by email, you got to stop doing that. We've never said
you don't have permission to take their email from Etsy or PayPal and start emailing them on from your personal
unless you like sell digital files and you have their consent to send them a digital file.
Right, that's kind of automatically assumed. So you shouldn't be doing that anyway.
We call them SSAR swipe emails, but they're for Etsy. So if I wasn't transparent about that enough, I apologize.
Yeah, but maybe we'll change the name on those, because we do, like for our emails, we do make swipe files for those too. Like there's swipes for everything.
Right, but SSARs should be kept on Etsy if you're using them on Etsy.
Sorry about the confusion on that if you were confused.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and keep going. Where did we leave off? Okay. So what exactly are you now responsible for? No, you won't have email addresses on Etsy anymore. What are you responsible for doing as of May 25th? What do you need to do to make you compliant? And I apologize, I'm going to be referring to my notes quite a bit here. So you need to have a record of exactly how and when they gave that consent. So thankfully, if you're using a email service for like MailChimp, for example,
you can have the date when they signed up.
Right. MailChimp keeps all of that information for you. All you have to do is go in and download it, and you can see exactly how they signed up and when they signed up. Now, if you're selling at an event or a vendor's fair and you're collecting emails on a pad of paper, in that case, you're going to need to document somewhere how you received that consent. So maybe you put, that they consented at a vendor's fair on this date. You just have to have that documented and saved for as long as those people are on your email list. If you're living in Europe, this isn't going to affect you if you're selling live and you're not selling to people living in Europe, obviously. So if you're living in Europe, obviously,
if you do a vendor's event in Texas, you're probably okay.
Right, exactly. So, that's just for our European sellers. But I mean, basically,
it's a good idea to do that anyway, because I mean, it's only a matter of time before other countries decide to update their archaic internet laws. I mean, you see if any of you watched some of the clips from the Zuckerberg thing, it was cringy. Those people had no idea what was happening with the internet. And as the generations grow up, the people that actually understand how the world works now and how the internet works are going to be the people that are starting to get into office and make changes that protect them, and not just people who only use the internet to check their email. Because right now, that's who the lawmakers are. They're people that don't know how to use the internet. So those laws are archaic. They're from people that were just starting to use the internet when you still had to listen to a loud modem boot up every time you wanted to use the internet.
Well, that's why this hasn't been updated since 1998. That's crazy.
So other countries are going to follow suit.
Yeah, I think that the US is going to be next in line. So number 2, what you're responsible for is a way for them to easily retract their consent. So for MailChimp, obviously, and most email services, that's easy. If you have a mailing list, down at the bottom, there is automatically a thing in there, unless you've deleted it from your templates. Never do that. There should be something down there that says, sorry,
getting a little sexy in here.
It's springtime, sun's out, guns out. And you have to have a way for them to unsubscribe from your list, and it has to be completely transparent, so easy that a toddler can understand. Basically, don't want to receive our emails, unsubscribe here. And MailChimp already puts this in there for you. So they have to have a way to back out. And they also have to have a way to say, or if they message you and say, get rid of everything that I have, you have to be able to do that. Or everything that you have on me, any data that you have about me, you have to delete that. and then you have to be able to follow through within, I think that there's a time frame for it. It's only, I think it's only.
Stop touching me. Your hands are like 5 degrees.
Sorry.
Oh, stop.
I'm cold.
Oh, crap.
So,
Woo.
so basically you just have to be able to delete that data and have a documentation of how you received it. And a way for them to opt out. What was number 3? Oh, you also have to have documented the purpose or the reason that you are processing that data. So like their email address, you have to have a purpose for having that data. Their personal address, if they place an Etsy order, you have to have a reason for owning that data.
And the reason doesn't have to be complicated. Like
no,
if you think
it shouldn't be.
If you think about it and you think, okay, well, what is my reason for having their email address? Because they're on my email list is a good enough reason. You don't have to have a more complex answer.
Or they signed up to receive.
Yeah, they signed up. They gave their consent to receive emails. That's a good enough answer. It doesn't have to go down into crazy law terms or anything like that.
Right.
And Mika Sykes said 1998. That's scary. Yeah, I mean, think about what most people had for internet in 1998. It would take them like a minute or two to load a picture on a screen. And right now I can put my VR headset on and have a virtual boxing match with somebody in Ukraine right now. Yeah. Like the internet's a way different place, you know? So things have to change.
Another thing that you're responsible for is knowing what type of data that you have, what the category of the data that you have is more specifically, and being able to provide that person, if requested, the type of category that you have. And those categories could include personal data is like their name, their birthday, you know, simple things. Confidential data, though, that's going to be like their credit card information, their social security, which I hope
none of you are collecting that unless you're like a consultant, like a tax consultant or something.
I certainly hope that if you take orders online, that you are using a service, that you are personally using a service, like
not having people email their card information.
Like you should have Stripe, you should be using PayPal. What's not Stripe? There's another, checkout services that you're going to use for your own website. But
and if you're not, you better be doing it all encrypted. And if you don't know what that means, you probably shouldn't do it anyway.
And then to go along with that, you have to have documentation of anything automated that you do. So any automated services that are also processing their data. Maybe you have some type of online bookkeeping service that does all of this for you. You have to have documentation of that and be able to provide them with it. Not only that, but you are also responsible for checking every third party that you use that processes your customers' or fans' data. You have to check that they are GDPR compliant, which in most cases they will be. I think everybody, pretty much all the big companies know this. Like PayPal, for example.
Most people already do. Like I said, most of you are already doing the majority of what you need to do for GDPR.
Right. So you have to make sure that any of the third parties that you're using are compliant, whether that be a banking system, like PayPal, any tax services that you're using that are, third party. You have to check with these services and MailChimp. You have to check with these services, make sure that they are GDPR compliant, and make sure that you have a way to either request that data, back, or that person has a way to contact that third party to be able to request their data. You basically just have to let them know who else has their data.
You'll be able to handle most of it.
Right.
Here's a way to look at it. I'm sure a lot of you have seen those Facebook posts that are only a true friend can tell me something about me. And then everybody comments stupid stuff on there. Think of it kind of like that, but you have to know exactly what you know about that person. You don't have to keep it in your head, but you have to know, okay, well, this person purchased from my Etsy shop and they paid through PayPal and they joined my email list. So you need to know what data of theirs you have on your email list, what you have on your PayPal, and what you have on your Etsy, and anything that you've printed out. You have to know where that is, how to get to it, and how to get rid of it. And if you don't know how to, that's fine, as long as you know who to contact to be able to do that. Like PayPal, for instance, you can't just go on there. I don't think you can just go on there and delete an invoice with all of their information on it. But you can probably contact PayPal and have them omit a lot of information off of it.
So we do have a couple questions, guys. Like I said, try to keep them until the end. Let's go ahead and hit them real fast. But like I said, keep them till the end, please. Cloudy, what about if I have data stored on Etsy because of past orders? That is Etsy. That's
Etsy's problem.
Right. If the person,
unless you're printing any of it out.
Right. If they are downloading it. The thing is, if they request that data, you let them know that Etsy is one of those third parties. And yes, Etsy is working on their updated privacy policies and compliance.
For instance, if you print your USPS labels directly off of Etsy, you download them first, most likely. They are probably sitting in your downloads folder. That means you are storing someone else's information. You have their name, their address, their zip code, and probably their country. That's on your computer right now.
Delete it.
Delete it. If you don't need it, delete it. Go to your downloads folder, delete it. Go into your Gmail or whatever, or not your Gmail, but your Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Edge, whatever you use. If you're a Mac, whatever Apple thing you're using, delete your history. I mean, that's that easy. You don't have to do it right away, as long as you know how to do it. As long as you know how to purge information people don't want you to have from the European Union.
Right. So
it's probably not going to happen to any of you. I mean, that's the reality of it. That's probably not going to happen. But that doesn't mean you can't be compliant.
Right. So Rafflecopter, King Sumo, etc. Yeah, I would still check, because those are our giveaway services. Yeah. I would still check with them. I would still make sure.
They probably don't store anything, I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah, I don't know if they would store that data, but because I would still list it, and I would still drop them a quick message just to make sure, just to ask. It never hurts.
They might even have put it, if they put it in their FAQ, it's probably the top thing in their FAQ right now.
Or their privacy policy.
If they have a frequently asked questions section that you can do a search on, just search for GDPR, all one word.
Right, or just drop them a quick email. Usually those services are quick to respond. And what I've been doing is, anytime I have a service in question, I type in the name of the service into Google. So in this case, maybe type in Rafflecopter GDPR and just see what comes up. And that's the quickest way to find out if they know anything about it. And then you can go on and message them. But normally this information will be located in their privacy policy.
Yeah, so like Lily said, if you don't need it, delete it. Keep as much as you need for legal purposes and delete everything else. That's going to ensure that you're compliant anyway.
So continuing what you're responsible for. You are responsible for, if requested by someone living in the European Union, you are required to be able to provide them with either or a physical documentation or a digital documentation in a common format. So like a Word document, a PDF.
Just a text document would be
right.
Easiest.
You have to be able to provide them with that document of all of the information that you have on them. So basically everything that you have, everything that we've stated above, all of those third parties that you use, everything that I just said that you have to keep record of, you have to provide them with that record in an easy to read, a toddler could understand it document that, in some type of file that is easy for them to open, no matter what. And I believe someone run to Google and fact check this for me. I believe that it's 30 days that you have to be able to provide that, but I'm not 100% sure. So
I know it's a sufficient amount of time.
Yeah, it's plenty of time.
For any of you and any of us, it's a sufficient amount of time.
Right, because with MailChimp, you just go in, you download download what you need. Most services are going to have the ability for you to just download that into a CSV, and then you have it. So it's not as intimidating as you think it is. It's not going to take you that long, because we aren't big companies and we don't technically process that much data.
We process enough data to identify somebody, especially if you're selling on Etsy. You have somebody's name and address. That's enough information to identify somebody. And if, say, one of your customers has a parent that works in a legal building in the UK. Say they work in an embassy, for instance, in the UK. They represent some other European country or whatever. And some terrorist organization wants to hurt that person. And you have the information on their kid. Well, the kid might still live with the parent. So that's enough information to identify, okay, that kid lives there, the parent lives there, there's our target. So that's obviously in a very extreme circumstance, but you have that information. So that's still identifiable enough to be able to tell who the person is.
Now, speaking of children, children must have under the age of 18, I think it's 18, You guys can fact check that too. But basically, children cannot give that consent. They have to have the consent of an adult. So they have to have adult consent for you to process their data. But the thing is, with email lists, you can't control who signs up for your email list.
Right,
and
so that's not going to fall on you.
Right. You don't have a way to do that, but it might be, I haven't personally done it yet, but now that I'm thinking about it, I might, you might want to put something on your email list that says, in the GDPR forms, which we'll be talking about in just a minute, something about that you want to make sure that you're
18 or plus,
18 or
with
older.
Parental consent.
Right, exactly.
All you really would need to do for that is put a little asterisk and then put, fine text at the bottom.
Right. And then the final thing that you are responsible for is after your relationship ends with that person, whether your business changes, whether you
close your business,
whatever it may be, when or they request it to be deleted, you have to remove all of that data that you no longer need. So for example, your downloads that you have, all of the downloads that you have of old Etsy orders that you've printed, because those download automatically. Delete those. The relationship, your relationship with the person hasn't ended because they might still be a returning customer, but you don't have any reason to have that data. So just delete it. When the relationship ends, and in a lot of cases, when someone places an order, that's the end of the relationship. They might never place an order again. When that relationship ends, you have to be able to delete that data. You can't just hold it forever and ever and ever. It's not yours. It's theirs. This is for their protection. So,
and yours. Domestic Platypus said not going to affect Etsy sellers as much, but if online retailers are required to disclose secondary vendors and fulfillment services, it may become a nightmare quickly. And I disagree with that for one reason. Here's the deal. We have done fulfillment services before, say with handbags and t-shirts. We didn't print those shirts. We made the designs, but we didn't print those shirts. Nobody cared. And if anybody did care, the chances of that person having enough power to do damage to your business is minuscule. So you're talking about 0.1% of people that would actually be able to do anything to harm your business because you use a fulfillment service. And not only that, it's not like you would have to plaster it on the front screen of your page, like, oh, I use whatever press for my shirts. Like, it probably wouldn't be that specific. It would just have to be somewhere on your site that was easily accessible.
Or in a privacy policy that you link.
Or an FAQ page.
Right.
How are your shirts printed? And I make my own designs, but I have them printed by X company. Most people don't care.
Right. And Etsy's about to add, that's one thing Etsy's doing, which they've got a lot of great updates. I have an article linked down below to that Etsy update. It hasn't gone through yet, but we are soon going to be able to make the way that they've worded it, it sounds like they're going to allow us to make our very own personalized privacy policies for our customers to comply with the GDPR. So just keep an eye out for that, because they'll email and it will show up in your Etsy dashboard when they do that. But not only that, they're removing our ability to see customer emails, which is a big stir in a lot of the Etsy niche communities, such as the digital community, where that email is required for you to fulfill the order. So in the event of that, we do have an alpha who is currently working to contact Etsy for us to ask how they're going to handle those sellers who need an email.
I think it's going to be implied in the purchase requirements. I think that's one of those things that if you sat before a court and had to justify why you needed that information, it would be obvious enough that it wouldn't matter. But implied things in law, people aren't always comfortable with, but that's how most things in law are. They're implied.
Right. And the thing is, Etsy knows its sellers. Etsy's not going to make it impossible for you to sell. They haven't finished yet. They're still working on it. We don't know what they're doing yet. So there will probably be refinements to the law too, as time passes on. Like, these are incredibly strict requirements, but most people are already following them anyway. So I think a majority of the stuff to come is all going to change to be more implied than mandatory. Right. So let's go over a bit of the data that is considered as identifiable data. Now, keep in mind, for one, I collected this list on, sorry, my nose is itching really bad. It is allergies. I collected this list over multiple platforms. However, if you Google a list of identifiable data, you will not be able to find one because they don't want there to be a list, because this list is going to be ever expanding.
Specifically for GDPR.
Right.
Every country has their own list of what they consider PII. That's what the US calls it, personally identifiable information. But Domestic Platypus said I was talking about retail goods. There's a lot more cutthroat competition in supply chains, product sourcing, et cetera, are generally closely guarded for that reason. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. That's kind of a personal thing. I don't really know how I feel about that. You'd have to give me some more time to look into that, because I really don't think that would do that much damage. Because if you're already big enough and you don't want a competitor knowing where you source your product from because you don't want them having the same source as you, then that means you got to step your game up to remain competitive. So, I mean, that's just the nature of business. It's kind of always been that way.
All right.
I'm sorry if I'm not understanding you entirely.
So let's go ahead and go over this list real quick. And then, like I said, we're going to get to questions at the end. We're almost done, I promise. So like I said, if you Google this list, you will not find it because it does not exist. No one has this list. What I did was go through both my head, both his kind of intelligence background with the military.
I dealt with this stuff every day.
Common sense, the things that could piece together to create identifiable information. You have to kind of think logically about this and think, could the information I have be identifiable? So this is not like a legal list. You will not find this list anywhere. I emailed this list to all of you. So if you did not receive this email, you're either not on the Handmade Alpha VIPs, therefore you don't get my freebies. If you want to sign up for that with consent, the link for the Handmade Alpha VIPs is down below. All you have to do is reply to any of the emails sent during your process and let me know that you want this file and I will send it to you. Okay. So if you want that GDPR information, feel free to join my email list and I will send that to you.
Now, also keep in mind that these aren't all inclusive. Not all of these individually are personally identifiable information. Some of them are such as
one piece of the puzzle,
such as an online username that can be used to find out a lot about a person. Social security number, duh, you can ruin somebody's life with their social security number. A photograph of a person. You can use facial recognition data to find somebody's Facebook page based on a picture. So, but something like a country by itself is not all inclusive. You can't, just with a country, can't figure out who one individual person is.
Right.
So some of them are completely all inclusive, where that's the only piece of information you need. Sometimes
confidential data.
Confidential data, and some things you need 2, 3, 4, 5 sources before it becomes personally identifiable information.
And that's why there's no list, because I'm probably the only starlet in the world who drives a Kia Soul. You know, but that identifies me because I'm the starlet who drives the Kia Soul.
So it's on an individual basis for most of these, but
this is a general.
I'll let you go ahead and get in there.
Right. This is just a general list. No, if you stop selling to UA and cancel your email list, I mean, if you've ever done business to the European Union, and yes,
you're already probably storing somebody's information from
right
there.
But
that's kind of a silly question, because you really shouldn't be worried that much about it, because it's on MailChimp, it's literally just like clicking a box and filling in some text. It's literally that easy. So don't be too freaked out.
Right, you're just sending them a text document with the data that you have, and you can download this data directly from MailChimp. It's super duper easy, or Etsy. But anyway, all right, so a list of the possible, not legal, no definite here, possible identifiable information included but not limited to. And I apologize if you got this in your email. I'm basically just going to be a broken record and repeat it for you guys. Name, first, middle, and or last, any of it. Online usernames, nicknames, a physical address, state, country, county, if you go by county.
Or if you're not in a county, it would be district,
or
whatever else they identify areas by in your country.
Right. Current city, past addresses, because you can link past addresses to find out who someone is.
Yep.
Your hometown, so basically
where you were born.
Yeah, where you were born.
Where you grew up.
Email address, IP address, social security number, or even just the last 4 digits of a social security number, credit card information, or just the last 4 digits of a credit card, tax information, EIN, birth date, parents, spouse, children, family of that person.
So any of this information on those people.
Right. Business name, physical appearance. So if you
description of a person.
Right. I'm probably the only Starla with bright orange hair right now. So that is personal information. A photograph of that person, that's who they are. That's their information. Genetic information. So
blood type, skin color, eye color, hair color,
ethnicity,
genetic makeup, ethnicity, yeah, everything.
Medical and mental information. Hopefully you guys don't have any of that, but it is personally identifiable. Financial information, like their income bracket, knowing exactly what their income bracket is, having a history of where they've worked and things like that. Identifiable information. Economic information, cultural information, like their race and ethnicity, their religion, political standings, trade union memberships, and I didn't add this to the list, but in the United States, I think it's just the United States. I'm not sure. Being a Mason, is Masonry?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not religious. We're not religious. So.
Yeah, Masonry, sexual orientation. That's going to be a big one because, there may only be one of you, someone with your name with your particular sexual orientation.
Say that there's a gay man that lives in a small town and he likes to, that he likes to go to a club, and there's only one gay club in town. There's a good chance you can find him there. So that's still identifiable information.
It's like a paper trail. If you can figure out.
Use common sense. If it sounds offensive, it doesn't really matter. It's common sense.
Right. Marital status, divorce status, purchase history, and user preferences. Obviously, we don't have that user preference type thing, but you can kind of put two and two together. For example, if you work a brick and mortar shop and you know that someone buys, like they come and they get a double cheeseburger every single Wednesday, that is considered personally identifiable information.
Fun fact, and they say this about the military, but this applies to everybody. You actually should not take the same route to work every single day, nor should you eat at the same places or shop at the same places every time you go on a specific day, because that makes you a target for predators. But anyway.
Once again, guys, we'll be answering questions at the end. Sorry for everyone who has to hear me say that over and over again. So paid amounts paid to you. That's all identifiable information. Locations of physical transactions. So if you've ever sold, if you live in Europe and you're selling at a physical location and you have documentation of that location where they made that purchase, that's identifiable information. Times and dates that those purchases were made. Websites and pages visited. If you have any type of, there's tracking services for that to see what type of
pages visited. Yeah, that's super easy. Website, almost every website keeps information on that kind of stuff.
Cell phone, installed apps, social media, and access to profiles. Now, this is one that not a lot of people think of, but if you have a customer who you've added to your friends list, you would want to also add in not just them liking your page. I mean, personally adding them to your personal profile as a friend, where you can go in and see their personal life. You have access to their social media. You have access to their pictures and who that person is, and probably even where they live. That's identifiable or personally identifiable information, because you can find out a lot from their social media profile. So that's one to definitely consider.
And I always recommend people keep them private.
Yeah. Contracts, any type of contract, accounting information, and any data that you can connect the dots with that you can use to figure out who a person is. If you can connect the dots, then you can pretty much figure out who the person is. And the example that I have, I can't remember where I found this example, but I liked it. It was, okay, let's look at John Smith, who buys a coffee every morning before work at the big coffee company.
Already a big no-no.
If John pays, well, don't be afraid to go to your favorite place, frequently.
Always change up your routes. That's all I'm saying. It's the safest thing you can do.
If John pays with a credit card, his card info makes him directly identifiable to the merchant, which means data on his coffee purchasing history, like the store location, date and time, amount paid, coffee preference, is personal data, thus entitling him to certain rights and protections. If John pays with cash, he still may be indirectly identifiable if he he redeems a targeted coupon that was emailed to his inbox at coffeeaddicts@example.com, which could be traced back to his name, to his actual name, through John's blog on different coffee blends. You see how precise these dots can be connected? So that's why...
For all of you, I know River City just said, what about name and not paid name?
Yes.
Here's the thing. If it relates to that person and anything that they've done and can be combined with any other information to identify who they are or find out where they are, yes. The answer is automatically yes. If it's John paid $1.95 for a Diet Mountain Dew on his way to work every Wednesday for the past couple of weeks because he likes to treat himself with a Mountain Dew because he's diabetic or whatever, that's identifiable information. Yeah. You can combine that with anything else. You can say, okay, well, later in that Wednesday, he goes to Olive Garden for lunch. Okay, now I can look, okay, now he drives a red Toyota. Those are three totally different sources of information that they got from three different places. So somebody that wants to find that person is just going to sit on the same road that Olive Garden he thinks he sits at goes to. He sees the red Toyota drive up and the guy's got a Mountain Dew. Now he knows that's the guy I'm looking for. Obviously, I'm using dangerous situations to identify this, but that's, I think, the best way to relay the information to you. Right. You can piece that information together to solve a puzzle.
You guys shouldn't be collecting data that's so precise.
And you just, My Amazing Oils said, so we can't keep any information on anyone anymore. No, that's not the point. That's not the point.
If you guys missed like a majority of the Q&A, you're gonna have to go back and watch it over again.
The point is that what that information can be used for. It's all identifiable information. And so you can keep the information, but the thing is that you're basically following a very basic human right. If somebody says, what do you know about me? How are you storing that information?
Is it safe?
Is it safe? And can you get rid of it? You have to be able to affirmatively answer those questions. So if somebody says, what do you know about me? Okay, well, I know your name. I know the last, because, Etsy doesn't give you their full credit card information. I know the last 4 of your credit card. I know your address. You mentioned in your note, your daughter's name was Lily. I know that. Your email address that you use for PayPal, because you checked out with PayPal once, is this. You've paid this amount to me
on this date,
and you sent one order to this address, which that person's name that you put on that order is this. You have to be able to provide that information. It's not bad that you're storing it. You just have to, if somebody is curious or they're paranoid, or say somebody just had their identity stolen, for instance. So they're trying to track down how their identity was stolen by themselves. So they're going to everybody that they know that they bought something from and saying, hey, what do you know about me? Because they're trying to piece a puzzle together. And if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I've got some bad stuff going on in my life. My identity was stolen. I'm trying to clear the path. Can you please delete my information? You have to be able to do that. You don't have to get rid of your receipts and stuff, because obviously for legal purposes, you have to keep receipts. But at the same time, if you have anything else on the person, you kind of have to get rid of that.
Now, Assad asked, can you please put some spotlight on GDPR for other countries? It's the same.
It's the exact same for every country in the world. Every country has to comply.
Let me redefine this one more time, guys. I'm only going to redefine it one more time. And if you missed anything, you're going to have to watch the replay, because we can't repeat everything. This is for customers or fans, anyone that you collect this data on, anyone living in the European Union. But no matter where in the world you live, if you have fans or customers or anyone who you collect any type of data on, even if it's just their email address, and they message you and request that data, no matter where in the world you live, you have to be able to provide them with everything that we talked about in an easy to read, common format file within X days. I think it's 30 days. You might want to fact check that. So most services now, all of the third-party services that you use are probably already preparing for this, but it's still your responsibility to contact them. For example, like PayPal. And if you can't find it by Googling it, because in most cases, you're just going to be able to Google like PayPal GDPR, MailChimp GDPR, just to see.
Yeah.
But if you can't find that, you are responsible for messaging them and saying, hey, what are you guys doing for GDPR? I just want to know what type of, how I can access the data that you've collected for my fans and customers. Now, I made this reference in the beginning, but I know not everyone was here. For example, if you say, well, I don't sell to Europe, or I don't sell internationally, I only sell within my country. I have an email list, but I only sell within my country. Is there anything in the world stopping someone who's living in Europe from signing up to your email list? No, there isn't. There's no way to say only people from my country can sign up for my email list. Therefore, you're collecting personally identifiable information. And if that person in Europe requests that information, you have to be able to go to MailChimp, download that CSV file, create that document, and provide them with it within X number of days, or it is punishable.
It's punishable by EU law. Now, domestic platypus, I'm gonna answer the next couple of things.
So we'll go ahead. We've got a couple questions, but
this isn't really a question. Though.
Okay.
A couple of these are just people freaking out.
Okay.
So domestic platypus says, going to be interesting in how requirements will run up against something like chargebacks. Theoretically, could file GDPR and then file a chargeback, which you have no identifiable data to contest. No, because you don't have to get rid of everything. You still have to be able to keep your own records in a sort. So like when we go and file taxes, if we got rid of everything other than just the amount that we received from somebody, from some credit card information, that's not going to be enough if we get edited by the IRS. Audited, excuse me. If we get audited by the IRS, that's not going to be enough information. You don't have to purge everything. You just have to purge if somebody requests enough data. Not to mention the fact that you could probably contest that. Like if you say John Doe decided he wanted to do that to you, which would be really crappy, first off. You have record of the fact that they put a GDPR against you, or a request to remove their files. Just keep that first off. And then when that chargeback happens, you contact the organization and say, okay, well, this person, I don't have any proof that they didn't purchase this, but here's where they requested their information to be removed on this date. So you can keep that. You can keep the fact that they requested that you delete their information because you have their name and you have their GDPR file deletion request or whatever. So you still have information, and you say you decided to get rid of their name for identifiable purposes, and all you have is the amount that they spent and the last four of their credit card information. That's enough information to say they did purchase this. They didn't provide me their name, but their last four of their credit card number is this, and here's a GDPR request from somebody who spent the same amount. So, I mean, you can still work your way around those kind of things, and most courts of law are going to be on your side. Right, and then Carmen de Leon said, basically, we're getting rid of information someone can use to stalk or steal identity from someone. That's not the purpose. So I use those as examples because I think that's the easiest way to represent what the information itself is and what it can be used for. That's not what this is about. This is about a simple human right. You have a right to know what people know about you. In some cases, you don't, like, say, with a government organization. Sometimes you don't need to know what they know about you because they're keeping it for national security interests, and that's none of your business. But when it comes to Starbucks, you should be allowed to know why Starbucks is keeping the last four of your credit card, or why they're keeping your address, or why, let's see,
what they're doing to protect it.
Right. What certain organizations are keeping data on you to advertise to you. So like if you get a specialized email from Amazon that has a couple of products that you might be interested in, which I'm sure all of you get those emails, you have to be able to know why I'm getting these emails. What information are you keeping that's, giving me that? Even that little bit of information is personal. It's not big and scary as it sounds. I just use those as analogies to show you what the information is.
Right. You can have...
That's not why they're doing it.
Rosabella said you can have the information, but you have to be able to account for it. Exactly. Now, and if anybody wants to be terrified right now, like get it on your desktop, open up a Word document, and just for fun, just to test it, to try it, think about maybe like a best friend or your parent or, just somebody in your life, your spouse, and just for fun, pretend that they requested their information. Could you just sit and type out that document for them, letting them know for practice what type of identifiable information that you have on them? Because when it boils right down to it, it shouldn't be that hard. Now, obviously, with your spouse and a parent, quite a bit of information. But if you were just pretending, or even if you had them like sign up for your email list and then you wanted to do like a practice run, Just try it if you're that worried.
It's not that hard. It's really easy.
You're just making a document.
And if you forget something, the courts are probably, if you get sued for whatever reason, which I doubt this is going to happen to any of you.
I doubt any of you will even get the request to provide this information.
No, probably not. But, you know, maybe you might get a troll or something like that. And then you just got to know how to do it. And it's not hard. You literally just go into all the information you have about them, maybe jot it down, and then send them an email. Take a screenshot and send it to them. Like it's that easy.
All right, guys, go ahead. If we missed your question, because I know we had a couple up above, copy and paste it below.
And if it's something we've already answered, we'll probably tell you to watch the replay because we've repeated a lot of stuff several times.
Yeah, and if you didn't watch the replay, you're going to be missing a lot of pieces to this puzzle, and this isn't going to benefit you all that much anyway. I do want to add, while you're typing your questions, I do want to add that down below, I have linked both how to make your email list GDPR compliant. So that is down there, down below. You don't need to ask me about it. It exists down there. I also have the information about what Etsy's doing for GDPR compliance. That article is linked down below. I also have, if you want to see an example, my email list for the Handmade Alpha VIPs. You don't have to sign up. If you don't want to hear from me and you don't want to be on my email list, don't sign up for it. That is the only way that you can access my GDPR document, because I have to be able to send it to you. If you want it, you can email me back from any of the emails my list sends out and ask if you want my GDPR document. But where was I going? Oh, if you want to see an example of what the GDPR form looks like when you add it to your email list, it is big. It is kind of an eyesore, but it is on there. You can go to my email list without signing up and see it. So you can get an idea of what this should look like. And
this shouldn't really sound scary to any of you. And like Crafty said, Crafty Card Co., I used to work in retail, and we had a policy to collect only the minimum amount of customer info needed to complete a sale. That's how the majority of businesses run. And you already collect the minimum amount of information. Like you only have the last four of somebody's credit card.
Now, you
probably only have their first and last name. You probably don't have the middle name of the majority of your customers. Like you already collect the minimum. And I have two great tips for those of my MailChimp users out there. Two awesome tips. And these are just because obviously everyone knows that I'm working on the Handmade Alpha Academy, and all of this GDPR stuff happened right in the middle of creating it. So I had to rewrite a whole section.
I had to rewrite a whole lot of the Alpha Academy, so to make sure that those who take the course are compliant too for future generations of entrepreneurs. But two of the things that I found for MailChimp are, for one, when you're creating that GDPR sign-up form, what's going to help you is there's going to be 3 boxes that are going to show up when they give you the template for your GDPR sign-up form. And one is email, physical mail, or something else. I can't remember. Delete all but one. Delete all but one of the options. Only give them one option, and they have to tick that box that says, yes, sign me up for, this, and this. If you go to the Handmade Alpha VIP list link down below, you can see that example where I've deleted all but one option. Their only option is to agree, or else they don't join the email list. If they don't want to consent, that's fine. Don't join my email list. Ticking that box signifies that you are accepting that I'm going to be taking your email, your information. Another thing, though, the least information that you collect on someone, the better. So when you create your sign-up form, what I recommend, don't collect too much. Collect their first name. You don't need their last name. There's no reason that you should have their last name. Collect their first name and their email. The field for last name, you're never going to use it. Get rid of it. Delete it from your MailChimp sign-up form. It's easy. You click the delete button and it's gone. First name, email. The least information that you're collecting on that person, the better. And MailChimp has the ability for them to give you their physical address and a bunch of stuff that you just don't need. Get rid of it. Name, email. That's all you need.
And you guys should be happy about this. I mean, realistically.
These are human rights.
This is a simple human right. This is talking, and not from a religious standpoint, but from a legal standpoint, it's about talking like gay marriage. Like it's a human right to be married. It doesn't matter what your preferences are. And it's the same thing with this. It doesn't matter what your opinion is on it. You have the right. Everyone has the right to know what other people know about them, other than in very specific circumstances. Like, the government, like I said earlier, if there's a reason that a government agency can't tell you something, it's probably because you don't need to know it. You don't need to know everything. But when it comes to a business that has nothing to do with that, it's your right to know what they know about you, what they're doing with that information.
Crafty Card Co. said, what about sellers using Google Analytics? I would assume that Google is
Google is Google.
Google is definitely compliant. However, if you want to put that on the document, if requested, if you want to keep documentation of that for your records so that you can provide it, is there personally identifiable information passing through your analytics? And if so, you can keep record for it. But if it's not something
that's a Google service. That's not a service you're providing. So it's up to Google to answer that question, not you.
Yeah, that's not
They would have to contact, if somebody, you would have to be able to say, I use Google Analytics, and my Google Analytics might have led you to my shop. But if they ask anything further than that, you just refer them to Google.
Right. What about
That's not your problem.
What about birthdays that are only the month and the date? I have a birthday club through my email.
You still have the name of the customer that's contacting you and making a purchase. So that's still
for her email list. Yes.
So then, yeah, still.
Yeah, but when you download your CSV, that'll be on there. Any of the data that you collected from them when they signed up, along with the dates signed up, that will all be in that file. So yes, you will need to provide it. You shouldn't get rid of it. It's fine if you want to do a birthday club. That's great. In fact, that's a really great idea. I like that idea. I might use that idea someday. But you just have to be able to, if they request it and they live in the European Union, you have to be able to put it in that document that you send to them. Like, I know what your birthday is. You gave it to me on this date through my email list sign up form. It's that easy. That's all you would have to tell them. I know your birthday. This is the birthday that you gave to me. This is the date that you gave me your birthday. I'm using it for this purpose for my birthday club where you get whatever you give to them.
And there's other small things you need to think about too. Like if you restructure your email list and you accidentally delete somebody off of it, you can't just add them back on. They have to reconsent to be put back on that list. So just little things like that might be a little confusing. Just keep in mind that anytime you add anybody to anything, they have to give consent. It doesn't have to be click a box, but if you delete somebody from your email list and you want to add them back on, but say you did it by accident, you were cleaning up your 1-stars and they want to be put back on, you still should contact them and say, hey, can I put you back on my email list? I accidentally took you off, blah, 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 blah.
And another thing that's going to help you when you're creating your sign-up forms is to also enable that double opt-in, because that adds another step to the process.
It's a second layer of security for you.
Right. What a double opt-in does is it sends them an email. And in order to be subscribed to your list, it's, you guys have all experienced this. Well, go check your email, click the link in the email we just sent you to confirm your subscription. That's a double opt-in. That is another step that they have to take. And if they're consciously taking that step, that double opt-in, then obviously they want to be on your email list. They didn't do it by accident. They didn't accidentally sign up for your list, go to their email, click the box, accept, that they want to be subscribed. So to enable your double opt-ins, enable the GDPR fields. Article is linked down below if you need help with doing that. Collect as little data as possible if you aren't going to be using it. And we had an occasion where, someone is collecting birthdays for a birthday club. That's fine. If you need to collect additional information, that's fine. Just know how to go to MailChimp and download it if the person requests it. And if you don't know how to do that, you have like 30 days to figure it out. MailChimp responds within a few minutes when you message customer service. So it's not that hard. And these guys, they've been preparing for this for over a year now. Like MailChimp and these big companies, they've been preparing for a long time. They're ready to help you.
Since this law started its drafting stage and the public got aware about it, all these services were already looking into it.
Right. They're ready to help you. So
and Amber asked a question, pretty interesting.
Okay.
I do some group giveaways where a person is signing up for multiple lists for people at once, and we have to give the CSV to the others. Do you think that would be compliant if I state this at the end? So this falls into the same category as what just happened with Facebook. A lot of people were pissed that Facebook was providing information to third-party sellers. Yeah. Thing is, those people clearly did not read the terms and conditions when they signed up for Facebook. Nobody does. I didn't. But at the same time, if Facebook does something, the first place you should check is probably the thing that you clicked when you signed up for the website that was in the terms and conditions that gave them the rights to give the information to other people on your behalf. So, yes, you should be clear, and I don't think the law pushes into that, but I think you should be as transparent as possible, even if you have a privacy policy for it, or if you just have a bulleted point after everything at the end that says, I'll be providing this information to others. You don't have to say the other sellers, but I'll be providing this information to these other people who will also be sending items, or whatever the context of that is. And then if somebody requests it, then yes, you should, give them the information on who you're providing their information to. It's just like any other business. Like Facebook clearly tells you who they're providing their information for in their terms and conditions and privacy policy and all that. They clearly state that they're going to be providing it to other people. They don't say specifically who, but if you request, they'll tell you, oh, we provide it to Tide and to all these other small businesses and to Coca-Cola and to all these other companies. Like, they have to be able to provide that. And so do you. So yeah, technically you should tell people that you're providing it to other people, but you don't have to go super crazy with it until they ask.
Right. And have an available, if you're doing something like that, have an available privacy policy that is written in just,
plain text. It doesn't have to be lawyer talk. You don't have to go pay $150 for a real privacy policy to be put in there. But you should at least maybe have a link to a privacy policy that you put on Imgur or something, I mean, it's that easy. Or you can just stick it in the bottom of the email, make a bulleted point. I'll be using this information to send to other sellers that are going to be using it to do their own giveaways or to join in on this giveaway.
Right.
And then if they ask, provide them with whatever they want to know. You don't have to go crazy with it until they ask. And when they do, you have, I think it's 30 days, like we said before. You have 30 days to do it. So it's more than enough time.
Right. And
if Facebook can do it in that period of time, then so can you.
Link them to a PDF. Link them to a PDF where you've written a privacy policy.
Email them a damn PDF.
Yeah. Just have a privacy policy in place, Well, it needs to be somewhere that they can find it and just
if you would like my privacy policy, email me and I will send it to you.
Right. Or click here to view my privacy policy and just link to it.
A domestic platypus said, agreed on being right. Rather happy that Google, Facebook, and YouTube algorithms just seem utterly confused. Yeah, it's actually pretty funny how all that's going down. But and keep in mind that these laws are going to be sculpted over time. These are the beginning laws that are super strict, that are written by people that don't understand how it works and advised by people that do. So the people that wrote these laws probably don't have a great grasp on how the internet works and how this data is used. You can look at Mark Zuckerberg's interview by Congress or by the Senate to figure that out. But they are advised by people that do know what they're talking about. So it's going to take time before these laws get narrowed down and things get way easier to understand. And eventually our kids will, they'll be the people that grow up understanding, and they'll be the ones growing up in the world where that's a mandatory thing. Those of us who grew up with the internet when it was first getting popular, this is a new thing to a lot of you guys.
It doesn't make it scary. It doesn't make it scary.
No, it's just something that you have to learn and adapt to. You've had to do the same thing with tons of stuff. Some of you guys probably grew up when cars got like 12 miles to the gallon and were crappy. And now you've got things like a Tesla that don't even have a normal engine in them and can run a few hundred miles on one charge of a battery. Like, everything changes and you have to learn to adapt to those things over time.
Right. And the thing is, all these sellers that say, oh, I'm just going to stop doing business with European Union, that's not solving the problem.
No, that's not a solution, and you're just hurting yourself.
You're hurting yourself and you're running away, because someday and obviously this is not confirmed, but someday I feel that other countries, including and especially the United States, where a majority of
we care about our internet. I mean, a lot of you guys were here for our net neutrality debate,
right?
Which we're not going to get into that again, but the internet's a big deal here. Everything we do is on the internet. Big companies, Walmart gets like just as much business online. Other than groceries, they get just as much business online as they do in their actual stores. Toys R Us is closing down because online competition drove them to bankruptcy. Like, everything we do is on the internet now. So eventually, even if you only sell to the US, you're probably, unless you're like in your 70s or something, you're probably going to have to adapt to this kind of change and learn how things work.
Right. It might be 50 years down the road from now, but if you've completely decided that you're just not going to even try, it's like if you
That's
decide,
a cop-out.
It's like if you decide that you're going to stick with your rotary phone and you're never ever going to, to get a new phone because you don't want to try to learn how they're used. Well, someday your old rotary phone is going to be obsolete. Your old way of doing things is going to be obsolete. And
most phones now don't even run through a normal phone line. They run through the modem that goes through your internet. And if you only have a phone, they usually still hook up a modem to hook your phone into.
Right. And and though it's scary, though it's confusing, though even us, even when we first read about it, we were like, what the heck
is this?
What is this? What
is this crap? And then we looked into it and we're like, oh, they're making it where your human rights are enforced now. That's cool. You guys should celebrate this kind of thing. Right. It's an advancement in human rights.
Yeah, this is great. And
this protects you from the big dirty companies that store your information that people are like Facebook, that people are afraid of for some reason. Like, it protects you from companies that legitimately do use that information for bad things. And this protects you from that. And if for some reason that comes down to it and somebody breaks that law, guess what? You're 10 million, at a minimum, 10 million euros richer. So what does it matter?
Erica, I have some Facebook or addresses in Facebook Messenger. When I made private sales, tried to delete them. I don't know if you can delete messages from
delete conversations.
No, I don't know if you can from a business account. I don't think that you're able to from a
You should be able to just go into your conversations and click it and delete it. Well, Facebook will have to add that.
I was going to say, Erica, if that's the case, keep documentation of it.
Because if you can't delete it, that's Facebook's problem, not yours.
Right. Keep documentation of it. Let them know that you've, tried to delete it, that you have access to it. And then if you need to,
you have to try to contact Facebook. And if Facebook doesn't respond to you, then it's up to the customer to get a lawyer to do it for them.
Right. On Facebook. Like, you just have to say, I've done everything in my power
to delete it. I can't do anything more. Or I will try to contact Facebook. In the event that Facebook won't do anything for me, it is now the customer's responsibility to contact Facebook, provide them with the circumstances, and actually demand that their information be deleted. Right. And if they don't, then Facebook's going to be hit with a multi-million-dollar fine. That's just how it is.
Yeah. All right, guys.
You're safer as a seller than you think you are.
Oh, yeah, because all the companies, it's not like
it's a 50-50 responsibility. If you do everything in your power, you're no longer responsible. It's not like a murder where you're 100% responsible. You're only 50% responsible for this crap. The websites and services that you get that stuff through are also responsible. Like Etsy, for instance. Etsy stores a lot of that information. And if there's something you can't get rid of, it's not your problem anymore. It's Etsy's problem.
You just have to be able to say, Etsy has this data.
And you have to prove that you've done everything you can, which is also easy.
All right. So, guys, do you have any last-minute questions? I know that this is a terrifying topic.
But you should be happy.
Yes.
You should be celebrating this. This is a huge advancement in human rights that people are freaked out about, that they don't realize is a huge deal. Right. It's a big deal for human rights.
This is a great thing. And
it's still not going to protect you from the big, nasty NSA, but it's going to protect you from the big, nasty Zuck, Big, nasty Zuckerberg.
Mr. Facebook.
Mr. Facebook, Mr. Lizard Man.
Here's the thing: everyone thinks that this is all happening because of Facebook.
It's not. This has been in the workings for a long time.
Yeah, they've been trying to
public demand.
Yeah, this has been in the workings.
That should be your hint that it's not scary. This is happening because people asked for it. Enough people complained that companies weren't doing what they wanted to do, that the government decided to do something about it. How often does that happen in any country? That barely happens here.
I was about to say, I cannot wait until the day.
We had to throw a bunch of tea overboard to be able to get rid of tea laws, tea tax laws. We had to throw a bunch of tea in a river, So nobody had to do that for this. Somebody just kind of had to get their information not rid of.
Perfect final word. GDPR is not like murder.
Exactly.
It's easy, guys. It's easy.
How can you be on the top people on Etsy about how many projects like crochet I do?
Okay, so I think what you're asking is how can you kind of dominate that niche? There are pretty much 3 basic steps to dominating your niche. 1, you have to have great product photos. The quality of your photos is going to be more important than the quality of the product itself. You do not have to have the highest quality product on Etsy to be successful. You have to present that product the most professionally. Number 2, you have to have authority. That authority does not mean that you have the most sales. It does not mean that you have the most fans. It does not even mean that you have we'll say the greatest outreach. So maybe SEO, social media traffic, and so on. Starting out, you can still become that authority brand by having wonderful, professional, consistent, and cohesive branding. So that's going to come down to not just your logo and those visible aspects, but the invisible things like your customer service and the way that you personally make people feel through your business, through your marketing. And number 3, I think that the most important thing is that you don't just assume that this is going to be an overnight thing, because it took me 5 years to get to the point of sustainability where not only, I mean, I haven't worked a normal job since I was 19 years old, but he was in the military, and it took us 4 years of constant business on Etsy for him to be able to get out of the military.
And that's why she's doing what she is now, teaching you guys and spending less time with her Etsy business, trying to make things easier for you.
And 5
That's
years,
why we're here.
Yeah, and like 5 years of work until he was able to quit his job. So you guys also have to consider, when you look at me, like right now, I'm not doing a whole lot with my Etsy shop, not because I don't want to. In fact,
because she's spending 12 to 16 hours a day developing a course for you guys, which, speaking of which, Luminaria, sounds like you're running a new Etsy business. Not selfish plug here. We are running a course very soon.
Yeah, June. Handmade Alpha Academy will
I'm just
be
messing with you.
Yeah, Handmade Alpha Academy will be opening in June. And if you join my email list, you will be the first to know when that opens. However, all of the Q&As and things like this, think of this as like a second unpaid job, because we still have to wake up,
It's not even just an unpaid job. It's an expense.
Oh yeah, we put like $10,000 into this.
So far, and it's a yearly expense. We're putting a lot of money into the alphas that you guys. It's funny because we put all this money into it. You guys can't even see it yet.
Right.
So,
and it's not
it's not going to be this big, huge, fantastic thing. It's a business course.
Yeah.
It's still going to be fun, but at the same time, it's a business course, so it's expensive.
And it's not just those aspects.
Is the email list in the description? Should be.
Yeah, it's in the description. It's the Handmade Alpha VIPs. It's linked down below. It says join the Handmade Alpha VIPs to get free training guide covering how to gain a fanatical.
And if you're not a member of the Facebook community as well, that's also down there.
Yeah, you'll want to join the Facebook community, because that's where
you'll get most of your questions answered. There's a lot of killer people in that group.
Yeah, we're
not just hyping it up. There's a lot of really awesome people.
Oh yeah,
we don't even have to do almost anything with the group anymore because there's so many awesome people in there.
And our amazing moderators, Dolly and Lissa, are always in there hanging out, making sure that they're answering questions, because right now we're trying to build literally the biggest Etsy course in existence that is going to tell you.
It's not an exaggeration. It's been a lot of months of just sitting in front of a computer for 16 hours a day. She's not joking. There's a lot of crap that went into this.
Yeah, guys, I mean, I don't tell you guys a lot about like me personally, like my well-being, because too many of you guys say that you're worried about me and you don't hurt yourself, don't break your back over this, but I have to because you asked me for this, and some of you guys don't have the time to spare. Some of you guys are fighting disabilities. Some of you guys are in positions where you need this, where you need to get your business to that point of sustainability, and I get it.
And some of this stuff is too complicated and confusing. Honestly, getting it from original sources, sometimes it takes the both of us looking at something and saying, what the heck does this mean? Or how do we do this particular thing? Or why does this thing happen?
Cracking the code to the new Etsy algorithm. This is something that took us 2 years, and then the new Etsy algorithm hits.
And not to brag, but she actually sat and, practiced what she preached. It's going in the course, and it works. It 100% works. We have fact checked it, and it worked on multiple occasions. 100%. No coincidences. It just worked.
Right.
So it was a lot of work.
But what I'm getting at is that last week, I believe it was, the blood vessels in my eyes actually busted because I had stared. I went on like a 16-hour recording and editing, like back and forth, because I record and edit to give my voice a break. And that's why I was sick last week. I said that I had a cold. I didn't have a cold. I had been recording all weekend and my throat was really sore. But
there might have been a little bit of cold in there because we were all kind of sick.
But the blood vessels in my eyes actually bursted from sitting in front of that screen and editing so long. But guys, that's like one of those things where I'm doing it because I have to. I need to do this. I'm not doing it to make like a bunch of money. I'm not doing it because it was just a brilliant idea one day. I'm doing it because you asked me to. I'm doing it because you guys said, hey, Starla, I like your teaching style. I want to learn more from you. I click with you. I want you to be my coach. Can I pay you personally to consult with me? And that doesn't sit well with me, because a few hours sitting with you that you have to pay several $1,000s for.
Which, yes, that's how much most business consulting costs. thousands of dollars.
That's not fair to me, where I go in and tell you something once and then you have to pay me every time you want advice from me.
That's not fair to you either.
Pay me freaking once, learn to do it yourself, and then take what you've learned from me and use it to generate business forevermore with as many businesses as you want to open.
And you'll have lifetime access to the information. And chances are, if you have a question about how to run your Etsy business, this is probably going to answer it. And if it doesn't, it's going to answer the majority of other questions. So it's not that big of a deal to shoot us an email and ask us a small question on something that it didn't cover. And
we'll either develop it, like maybe it's something that we haven't thought of, and we'll
either develop it or we'll put it here. If it's not something we think that's worth putting in the course, but it was just a small, simple question, we can answer it here.
Q&A.
That's what these are freaking for.
Right.
So should I charge shipping in my orders? It depends if you're selling enough to not charge shipping. If you're not, you should probably be adding that into the cost of sending the product anyway.
Customers on Etsy are they're not shopping to get a bargain. And the ones that are shopping to get a bargain aren't the people that you should be appealing to.
They're not people that you want as your customer anyway.
Right. You want the people who value your work and are willing to pay the shipping because they know that buying a product requires a shipping cost. So don't feel bad about charging shipping.
Southern preacher voice. The love of the alphas compels you.
I love that Southern. He has such a Southern accent, and you guys don't realize this, but his dad.
Here it doesn't catch it. It doesn't catch it very much. Man, I had to. We're getting off into a rant now because we got time to just kind of bull crap around. But
you guys are okay to send more comments while he's preaching.
But I had a guy from Florida and a guy from Georgia that I worked with, and I'm talking about the part of Florida where they don't talk or they don't speak English anymore. They just kind of speak mud people. And the same thing with my buddy from Georgia. I'm not going to say his name, but he was the same way, super thick accent. And when we would sit together and talk, I would come home and she would have no idea what I was saying anymore because my accent builds up the more I'm around Southern people. But I'm pretty much secluded 90% of my time. And when I'm not around Southern
Unless
people.
He's with his dad.
Unless I'm with my dad, and then it goes bad again.
And then
he's got one too.
He turns into a cowboy when he's with his dad.
Yeah, I don't go quite mud people, but yeah.
Which is funny because his dad is Italian, and it's just weird to see this Italian guy with such a thick Southern accent.
All of my family's from Alabama, but
yeah.
Aaron, hi Starla. I know this is off topic, but I see that the fan mailbox is open and was just wondering if this is like Renee Christine's giveaway.
Kind of. So what we're doing, the fan mailbox, basically, for those of you who want to send us fan mail or kind of. Okay. Well, I'll go over it for those who don't know. Down below, our PO box is open. It's not going to be closing for a while. We are collecting packages from you guys if you want to send them to us. Some of these items are personalized. Some of them are items that we'll be putting on our back wall.
And some are going to go in a giveaway.
And some that we don't want to keep, or not that we don't like them, but that we want to contribute to a giveaway, or products that we don't think that will, that won't go well on the wall.
Or if you guys watched our video, one of them sent a picture of my cat, who is my stress cat. He's like one of the loves of my life. She sent a picture, but she also sent a brochure and a couple of other things to throw into it. Well, it was a sloth, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to package the other stuff that wasn't personalized into that. So there's a whole mix of things. Or if you just want to send us something funny that you think we'll like, or a prepackaged food item from your crazy country that has crazy weird stuff that we would think is weird, send that. We're all about everything here.
But the rules are down below. The item will either, and you can tell us what you want to do with it. If you want it to go in a giveaway, put a note in there that says, put this in a giveaway.
Yeah, if you specifically want it in a giveaway and you don't want us to keep it because you want it to go to somebody else, stick a note on it.
Absolutely. And if not, what we're going to do is the products that we put
food items have to be marked on the outside of the container if you want us to try a food item, and they can't be homemade. They have to be prepackaged just for our safety. We don't know you as much as we trust all of you. We don't know you. So
right. So that's all you have to do, though. That is open. And if you guys want the best reference, go to our channel and watch our last unboxing. It's hilarious. It's one of our
We're new to it, so it looks like people that are doing their first unboxing. It does.
But we'll
get better.
We had some hilarious comments on that. It's probably our funniest video by far. It's not an Etsy education video. It's funny, but a lot of people loved seeing how other Etsy sellers package their product. So be sure to go check that out.
See, I'm making something just for Mark. Thank you. And I have a strange feeling that it's probably Boobies.
Is it Boobies?
Because she's the one that always comments that. Let's see here. Let me go up through the questions because I think there was one up here. I'm doing a crochet blanket and want 50 for it. Is that a reasonable price in your opinion?
No,
price in the top. Well, somebody else prices in that. You price in the top 10% of your market. price with your competitors.
Right. That's advice from my business coach Renee Christine, who is a queen. And that's what she taught me. Look
Not
at
literally, for you people that don't know who she is.
She's the queen. She is the queen of Handmade. But she taught me.
That was mildly insensitive. We have British people in here.
The queen? I love the queen.
way that we said it with the crappy British accent that we both just did. I feel like that was insensitive.
Do British people get offended when we
Tea and crumpets?
Now that
we love you guys.
We love all of you, and we love the queen because she is a badass little old lady. I love her.
She said, "Yes, you know me."
I love her.
Well, just so you know, if you send us boobies or something, it is in the rules. I can't put it in a video.
No, yeah, if they're
boobies, if they're just straight up boobies.
Well, if it's like crochet boobies.
Oh, if it's crochet boobies, I'm all about that.
As long as they're not high def boobies, then yeah.
Okay, off of boobies for now.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Have you tried Etsy's target marketing where they send you a coupon to the people that have left your items in their shopping cart?
We're
testing it right now.
I applied that the day that it came out, and I'm still tracking the results. So we're
gathering data, yo.
We're gathering data. We'll let you know how it goes once we have enough data. I don't provide you guys with information until I have had at least like 30 to 60 days of test period to be able to tell you that I'm confident in the data that I've collected. So I'll let you guys know as soon as I'm confident in the data that I have collected.
This one's a personal question, Mark, totally off topic, but you can answer an email if you want, but do you have an emotional support animal? And if so, do you know the federal laws? I'm having an issue with that or housing. So technically, no. My cat is my emotional support animal. Anytime I'm having any problems with some of the stuff I've done in the military, I'm not going to get into that again, but anytime I'm having any issues with anything in my life, he's my emotional support cat. She's my emotional support mainly. But,
wife, your emotional support wife.
But when it comes to something that I just want to sit and hold, she's busy, and I just want somebody that's going to sit on my lap while I'm playing video games, because that's not emotional support when she does it. It's something else. If I just want somebody to sit with me, it's easy to just, he's sitting right here. I could literally just call him and he would come over to me and sit. He's absolutely in love with me.
And he senses when he's going
if I'm
something.
having a bad day, if a family member dies, if something happens, this dude won't leave me alone. He absolutely won't leave me alone. But no, unfortunately, I don't know. I wish I could provide you more information. I don't know the laws on that. He's
California, it's a lot easier, but
California, you basically just say, I have anxiety, and you can get whatever you want. But obviously it's not that easy, but it's pretty close to it. But I don't do that. I honestly don't believe in taking your pets everywhere, especially being married. Like if you are married and you also need to bring a pet with you for emotional support, there's probably something else, and you should probably have more than just a support animal. You should probably see a psychiatrist. Not because you're crazy, but because you should probably figure out why the hell you feel that bad. But I don't have anything totally against the service animals, but I'm like in the middle there. I think unless you absolutely need it, you shouldn't have it. But if you absolutely do need it, just get with a legal professional. Get on Just Answers. Justanswer.com. And ask somebody what the laws for your particular state or the federal laws or what you particularly can have.
You pay a couple dollars and you can talk to a lawyer and they can help you out.
And for the love of God, don't be insensitive about it. Like if there's a place where your animal just doesn't fit, it doesn't belong there, don't bring it there. Like I've been in places like Olive Garden where somebody will have a big German Shepherd that's getting its hair everywhere. It's insensitive. And if it's something where you can't have it, pick different places to go. Be a human being. You have your own problems. You have your own issues with anxiety or depression that you need that animal for, and that's fine. Allergies. But other people are affected by that too. So just be aware of your surroundings when it comes to stuff like that.
It's not that we don't want you to have your pets.
I want you to be happy and to do whatever it takes to make you happy. But if it comes at the price of somebody else being miserable, it's not worth doing.
And I'm someone who is severely allergic to certain animals to the point where I will die.
Any rodents at all.
We had
obviously nobody's carrying around a service rat, but it's possible.
We had obviously
service mouse.
Obviously, I won't say who, but we had a family member who had some little mice. You know, it was winter, it was cold. The mice came in, got in the house. They were working on getting rid of them, but just the fact that they had a few mice in their house or their home, I had to leave the house because I got so sick from just the presence of a mouse. So even pet stores, I have to be careful.
She said I am crazy. And if it's a housing issue, that's one thing as well. It's difficult, and I understand your trouble there because I've had a lot of friends that have had issues getting pets into houses, and the problem is so many people lie. So many people lie to get their animal registered as a service animal to get into houses. That's an expense on homeowners. So, and I believe you. if you really do have an issue, go get it registered and do that. But it's going to be hard because so many people lie. I don't have any numbers, but I would probably say like 3 out of 4 people probably lie about the fact that they need a service animal. I was in California long enough to know that way too many people lie about it. Like, I don't need to, you can walk into any Walmart and find like 10 people with a Chihuahua with a service animal thing on its back. I know all those people don't need that animal.
And we love our animals.
They're happy and playing and running around and doing all that stuff. You probably don't need your service animal there, especially if it's just sitting in the bottom of a cart and not getting any attention. That's ridiculous. But anyway, we'll move on from that. I think you've said this before, but I'm starting to say for Handmade Alpha Academy, will the price be similar to HTU? Yes, we're pricing alongside HTU.
We will be pricing alongside HTU, but if you're on the email list, hint, hint, down below, if you're on the email list, you'll be getting a very similar discount that Renee Christine gives to her besties. So if you're not on our email list, you will be paying roughly double what you would be paying if you were on our email list. So join our email list. And join the Handmade Alpha Facebook community.
Domestic platypus, you just committed a cardinal sin. That's not her name.
What?
Do you want to try that again?
Stella
Look at the name of the channel, bro.
It's probably a autocorrect.
Yeah, probably.
That's
Luminaria, whatever works. It uses iPicky and has videos up about it. Lots of us use Adobe Photoshop as well, which isn't expensive as a subscription. Sorry, you're fine, dude. just messing with you. What is the best photo editor for Etsy? There is no best. We use iPicky.
I have an entire training series. It is my most popular training. All of the alphas in the comments who want to chime in and verify that it is the best training. I have a free service that I personally use called iPicky.com. It's very similar to Photoshop, but easy and free. You don't have to download it. It's not a software. It is a website. It
requires almost no training. Like, her couple of videos is enough to get you through everything.
Go to my channel. Go into playlists, and there will be one just for my photo editing iPicky training series. Start at video 1, watch through until I believe video 10. I believe that there's 10 total. That will teach you everything that you need to know for basic photo editing if you don't want to buy Photoshop or spend money on software for your photo editing.
Domestic Platypus said, I know I'm working on a project with Estella. Well, that's just coincidence then.
You know what? I had to go to driving school because I got in an accident right before my 18th birthday. So rather than tacking me with adult charges, they went ahead and just had me go to a driving school and wiped it from my records. But the driving school, I got my fancy little diploma.
Doesn't have her name on it. It says Stella.
It says Stella.
I had to register to vote 3 times.
His name is Marc, M-A-R-C, Antony, not Anthony, Antony. And I don't call him Mark, by the way. Mark is not what anyone in his immediate family calls him.
My middle name sounds more childish. I took the adult approach, took the more adult sounding of my 2 names that is way easier to remember. Because I guarantee you, if I said my name was Anthony, most people would get, like 90% of people would get it wrong, because all through school, my report cards were wrong. My credit cards that I've gotten as an adult have all been wrong. I still, to this day, do not have one credit card that has all 3 of my names correct. So I say Mark with a C because that's the easiest frickin' thing to remember of my 2 names.
But don't call him Tony. I called him Tony like the week that we started talking.
And every time I say my last name is Moore, people ask me if there are 2 O's in my name. Like, have you ever met somebody with the last name Moore that didn't have 2 O's, just M-O-R-E?
Mower.
Moore.
Mower.
Anyway, we're kind of rambling on at this point.
All right, guys.
I'll give it like 2 minutes, last minute questions. After that, we're cutting you off.
Funny story while you guys type in your last minute questions. When I first got with him and I told my grandma his name, she went, Anthony? And I went, no, Antony. There's no H. And she went, they left the damn H out of his name. Like, they thought that they just forgot the H in his name. His dad's name.
You want to be really confused? Yeah, my dad's name. My dad's name is Mark Anthony. I'm also not just Mark Anthony. I'm Mark Anthony II. And my dad's name is spelled completely different than mine. Mark with a K, Anthony with an H. And I'm a second.
But his name is Mark, M-A-R-C, Antony.
That's because there was an accident. I don't remember if it was my dad or me. One of us, I think it was my dad, was named incorrectly. So when they did the paperwork at the hospital or whatever, they spelled his freaking name wrong, or whoever did the paperwork. It could have even been a family member. The name was done wrong by a third party. So he was technically supposed to be Mark Antony. And because of that, the law was like, okay, cool, he can be a second. But what's funny is my birth certificate doesn't have the second on it, only my social security card. So getting into the military was kind of weird. But anyway, let's see here. Okay. Oh my God, I have that issue. No one spells my name right. It's always Charisse or something. It's actually Charisse, but I've shortened it because they can't spell it. They can't say it. Every
Michelle.
graduation I've been announced as Maria instead of Marla. Yeah, that's not surprising. Are there any questions?
Michelle.
Okay. Pinterest rich pins aren't working for me. I can't get Pinterest to validate.
Here's the thing, Michelle. I'm not like a big Pinterest guru. That's like Renee Christine's territory because she runs Pinterest Academy. So I couldn't personally tell you why they're not working. If you've tried to, have you tried to contact Pinterest actual customer service? Have you overall just tried to troubleshoot these problems with them? And if all else fails, I don't normally do this because I don't want to put her in a position to start having to answer questions. But you might be able to reach out to Carrie Bunker in my Handmade Alpha Facebook group because she's Renee Christine's like manager. And I know that she's a little bit more well-read on Pinterest than I am. If you could tag her, and she may not reply, but you could tag her and ask her. Right, they're so busy. She is a Wonder Woman. She's so busy. But if you were to ask her, just say out of curiosity, my rich pins aren't working. Is this something that you've noticed, or is this just me? Is this something that's taking place, universally, or is this just me? That might be something that she could help you with, but I'm not well read on Pinterest enough to know why they're not working right now for you.
All right, last question. Rosabella, I'm drawing a blank. How many listings should I be renewing every day? That varies.
Rosabella, you shouldn't really be renewing listings every single day. Renewing listings, what that does for you.
That's an assumption that does something. There's no actual physical proof.
I mean, it does do something, but there are a lot of components that go into it. In fact, that is part of the chemistry that I've had to sit for the last 2 years figuring out for Etsy SEO, and ultimately what I'm going to be putting into the course, because there's no way that I could accurately explain it through a Q&A because I have visuals, I have things like that. But I will tell you that renewing your listings does help a little bit. It boosts you up momentarily, but you will fall back down. There is no more page one on Etsy. It doesn't work quite like that, but you can still check your rank on Etsy using a tool like etsyrank.com, looking at their rank checker. If it says that you're on page one, that means that your SEO is good. It doesn't mean that you're actually on page one. It means that your SEO is good enough to potentially be on page one for your target market. This is where this gets confusing and where I need my all of the amazing visuals that I've created, which you could ask him. I've been building Tinker Toy structures for the course.
She had to ask me for help because we couldn't figure out a shape. But you'll see that if you join up for the course.
Yeah, it's so confusing. But yes, renewing helps. You cannot run yourself bankrupt by renewing every single day, though. You can't do that. It's not,
especially as a new business.
Yeah,
you can't afford that. You shouldn't afford that.
No, and that's not what
it's not worth it.
No, don't sit and try to do that over and over again.
Luminaria asked if iPicky works on Android. For one,
it's not for phones.
It's not for phones, and for two, you should not be editing your photos on a phone. You're really limiting yourself if you're editing your pictures on your phone. Right. Unless you're really good at what you do. For one, phones have a specific type of screen that overcolors everything for the majority of time, especially if you use Apple or if you use a high-end phone. They have screens that make everything look better. That's how they work. For two, you're kind of looking at a smaller screen. You should be looking at it in a full resolution 1080p monitor or better.
Right. And like I said, this isn't an app. It's a website. It's a website. It's iPicky, IPICCY.com. Just watch the video. I promise if you watch the video.
Watch the video series and you'll be gold.
You will know exactly how to do it. And we have some customers who are literally creating their product photos.
And we're not monetized. So we're not saying that so we can make money off of you. We're not monetized yet. So
no.
So just literally go watch it. It will help you, I promise.
Right. And we have sellers who are digital, who create digital products, who create their digital products in iPicky and sell them. So iPicky is fantastic. You can do anything with iPicky. I actually ran a small photography business there for a while where I wasn't just a photographer. I was taking pictures and distorting them. So for example, I had a photo of my daughter in the forest standing next to a giant frog, and it looked realistic. It was convincing. And I did all of that through iPicky. So you can do anything with iPicky.
And if you say you can't afford a computer, then you probably shouldn't be running a business yet. you should probably wait until you can get a computer, because there's a lot of other things you're going to need to do that you can only do on a computer.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a business expense. If you live in the United States, it's a freaking write-off. So yeah, and talk to a tax specialist before you try to write it off, because there are limitations to that. But it's a freaking write-off. So get to a point where you can get a computer and then start working on your business from there.
And domestic platypus, not worth it to renew every day, drive traffic from other places. Exactly. Those are your funnel. You want to have a direct funnel, because on Etsy, it doesn't matter if you're on page 1 of someone's search, you are still in competition with every other listing on that page. And you cannot guarantee that that shopper is going to click yours when there are, you know, a ton of other listings on that page. However, when you're sending people direct from Facebook, or you've created an email list, or, you know, whatever other point of contact that you've created, when you're sending someone direct from that point of contact to your storefront, there is no competition. They're not going to look for something else. They're not going to go from your Facebook ad and say, wow, I love this necklace. Go to your Etsy shop, say, I love this necklace, and then think, but I'm going to look at what all the other sellers have. That's not what they're going to do. They're going to buy that necklace because that's the necklace that they saw and wanted. They're already
your fan already. They're already looking at your product.
Right. They've developed ownership for the product that you've presented to them through external marketing.
Yeah, they already mentally own it.
It's ownership. It's imprinted in their mind that that's the product that they want. They don't want it from somebody else, unless that person is selling literally an identical product. And even then, if they're selling that product for less, the product with the higher price is going to be interpreted as having the highest value. But more on that in the Handmade Alpha Academy. All right, guys. Thank you, Starloon Mark. This has been really useful. I hope you have a chance to enjoy the sunshine.
Nope.
Yes, we're going to be doing a photo shoot today.
Oh, gross. I prefer the blue light from my screen.
We're going to be doing a photo shoot today for the Handmade Alpha Academy marketing. So you'll probably see me in lots of marketing photos wearing this exact outfit. So if you see...
I won't be wearing this one, most likely.
Yeah, this shirt's... this is the longest I've seen him. Oh, you dropped your fidget spinner, you dork.
Whatever. YOLO. Vape Nation.
Also more worthwhile to do paid marketing under the marketing tab than simply renew. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, we gotta hop off here. Not to get on another tangent. Hope you guys learned what you needed to learn. Thanks for all y'all that actually stuck around. For all you people that left, goodbye.
Oh, and if you want that GDPR file, if for any reason you're on the mailing list and you didn't get it, I've sent it twice now. I sent it once last week, once today.
If you didn't get it, you're not on the email list.
Well, it could be in their spam or promotional inbox. But if
you got removed from the email list because you were never opening our emails.
If you don't ever open our emails, we do remove you because
you're labeled as a 1-star person and you're not opening the email. So if for some reason you're not getting our emails anymore, check your spam box. If it's not there, resubscribe because we probably took you off there.
Yeah, resubscribe, open our emails because we are paying for you. When you get over 2,000 email subscribers, you do have to pay for those subscribers, and I'm not going to pay for you if you don't want to see my content. I'll just delete you so you don't have to deal with me anymore.
That's like me buying you a $5 burger at McDonald's and you just throwing it out the window every time I buy you one.
Yeah, it's like
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that for you.
I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that for
you. So if you don't,
if
if you're on the email list, you're confident that you're on there and you just didn't get that file, you can either resubscribe to the list or you can just email me. Let me know that you didn't get it. I will make sure that you get it. I have it on in a PDF document on my computer and his. One of us will see the email. One of us will send it to you. It will basically be an overview of everything that we talked about today for GDPR compliance, keeping in mind that we are not legal professionals. This is just
our interpretation.
And the steps that we are personally going to be taking to protect data from our European customers.
But if you follow a piece of our advice and you do it wrong, don't try to sue us if you get upset.
Yeah, you're not allowed to sue us. All right.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimers.
All right. I hope you guys have a great weekend too. Thanks for all your happy wishes. We'll probably spend most of it working, but we love you guys anyway. And we will see you all later.
Bye.
Goodbye.